Dear learners, I welcome you in this video where you will learn about long run laws of production, which are popularly known as law of returns to scale. After watching this video, you will be able to understand the long run laws of production and you will be able to explain the law of returns to scale with the help of isoquants and with the help of production function. Production function represents the quantitative relationship between inputs and output, and it is represented as Q, which is quantity, is the function of LD, L, K, M, T, and small t, which stands for land and building, labor, capital, raw material, technology, and time. Any change in these variables will change the quantity or will change the output. So production function represents the quantitative relationship between inputs and output. There are large number of factors which may affect the output of the organization, but for the sake of convenience and simplicity, economists have reduced the number of variables. So we will take the production function as Q is the function of labor and capital, other factors remaining constant. In the short run, the firm can increase production by increasing the labor. Supply of capital is fixed in the short run. So production function for the short run will become Q is the function of labor where capital is constant. So to change the output, the producer can increase the labor. In the long run, however, the firm can employ more of both labor and capital because supply of capital in the long run become elastic. So production function will be given as Q is the function of labor and capital, and to increase the production, producer can increase both labor and capital. In the long run, supply of both the inputs is supposed to be elastic, and therefore firms can use larger quantities of both labor and capital. With larger employment of labor and capital, the scale of production increases. The nature of changing relationship between changing scale of inputs and output is referred to the law of returns to scale, or we can say it is the long term laws of production. The laws of return to scale are generally explained through the isoquant curve technique and production function. The most common and simple tool of analysis is isoquant curve technique. So we will therefore first introduce and elaborate on this tool of analysis, and then we will try to understand it with the help of the production function. So the first technique for understanding the long-term laws of production is using isoquant curve technique. The word isoquant has been derived from a Greek word where iso means equal and quantus means quantity. It is also known as production indifference curve. So isoquant curve is a curve which shows a locus of points representing various combination of two inputs, say labor and capital, which gives the same amount of output. So any point on this curve is a combination of two inputs, labor and capital, which gives the same amount of output to the producer. There are few assumptions also for the isoquant curve. Let us try to understand these assumptions. The first one is there are only two inputs, labor and capital, other factors or other inputs remaining constant. The second one is that the two inputs, labor and capital, can substitute each other but at a diminishing rate. That means these two factors are not the perfect substitute of each other. So if one factor is supposed to be substituted for another factor, we can do that but at a diminishing rate, at a decreasing rate. And the third assumption is technology of production is given. The given table shows the units of output that can be produced with different combinations of capital and labor. It is important to note here that four combinations of K and L given in the table, that is 10 capital plus 1 labor, 5 capital plus 2 labor, 2 capital plus 5 labor, and 1 capital plus 10 labor produce the same output, that is 158 units. So when these combinations of K and L producing the same output 158 units are joined by a line, it produces a curve which is known as isoquant curve. So we have understood that isoquant curve is a locus of points where each point shows the combination of two inputs which we are using for production, which gives us the same amount of output. For example, in this diagram you will see IQ1 which is isoquant 1. So let us study point A where we are using L1 of labor and K2 of capital, which is giving us 100 units of output. So if we increase labor to L2, the capital we are using is K1. There again the output will be 100. So any point on this isoquant 1, it will give you the same amount of output. And if you draw IQ2 which is a higher isoquant, their output will be more than 100. There are some properties of isoquants, and these are: number one, isoquants have negative slope, that means isoquants are downward sloping. Second is isoquants are negative to origin because of diminishing marginal rate of technical substitution, which means the two inputs can be substituted for each other but at a diminishing rate. The third property is isoquants cannot intersect each other, and the fourth one is upper isoquants represent higher level of output. Let us now understand the long-term laws of production, which are popularly known as the laws of returns to scale. The laws of returns to scale explain the behavior of output in response to a proportional and simultaneous change in both the inputs, labor and capital. So when a firm expands its scale or both the inputs in some proportion, then there are three technical possibilities. Total output may increase more than proportionately, total output may increase proportionately, and total output may increase less than proportionately. So when total output is increasing in more than proportionate change in the inputs, it is known as increasing returns to scale. When the total output is increasing in a similar proportion to that of the inputs, it is known as constant returns to scale. And when your total output is increasing in less than proportionate change in the inputs, it is known as diminishing returns to scale. Let us first show the increasing returns to scale on a graph. So in this graph, labor is mentioned on one axis and capital on another axis. So when both labor and capital is increasing in some proportion, say from 1 labor 1 capital to 2 labor and 2 capital, there the proportionate change is 100%. And if your output is changing more than that proportionate change in input, it is known as increasing returns to scale. So on isoquant 1, if the quantity is 10 units, and if on isoquant 2, if quantity is 25 units, here the change is 150%, which is more than the proportionate change in the scale of production or in the change in inputs which was 100%. Similarly, when we are moving from 2 labor and 2 capital to 3 labor and 3 capital, there the proportionate change is 50%. Whereas if in the output it is increasing from 25 units to 50 units, the proportionate change is 100%, which is more than the proportionate change in the inputs, labor and capital. So that is how we show the increasing returns to scale, where your output is increasing in more than that proportionate change which is there in the inputs, and it is known as increasing returns to scale. Let us try to understand the reasons for increasing returns to scale. So the first factor behind the increasing returns to scale is technical and managerial indivisibilities. Certain inputs, particularly mechanical equipments and managers, used in the process of production are available in a given size. Such inputs cannot be divided into parts to suit small scale of production. For example, a half machinery cannot be used for the production. Similarly, in regard to managerial manpower, if scale of production is small, managers remain underemployed because half of a production manager cannot be employed. Because of indivisibility of machinery and managers, given the state of technology, they have to be employed in a minimum quantity even if scale of production is much less than the capacity output. Therefore, when scale of production is expanded by increasing all the inputs, the productivity of indivisible factors increases, and it will result in a increasing returns to scale. Another factor causing increasing returns to scale is higher degree of specialization of both labor and machinery, which becomes possible with increase in scale of production. The use of specialized labor suitable to a particular job and of a composite machinery increases productivity of both labor and capital per unit of inputs. Their cumulative effects contribute to the increasing returns to scale. Employment of specialized managerial personnel like administrative manager, production manager, sales manager, and HR manager contributes a great deal in increasing the production. So your output will increase at a increasing rate. Increasing returns to scale is also a matter of dimensional relations. For example, when the length and breadth of a room are doubled, then the size of the room is more than doubled. Similarly, when diameter of a pipe is doubled, the flow of water which is coming from that pipe is more than doubled. So in accordance with this dimensional relationship, when the labor and capital are doubled, the output is more than doubled and so on. For example, when the both labor and capital are increasing in an organization, then it will affect the psychology of the labor as well, because now you are the part of bigger organization, the scale of production is increasing, maybe your motivation will also increase. As a result, your productivity will also increase. If the proportionate change in the output is equal to the proportionate change in the input, it is known as constant returns to scale. So when we are moving from one labor and one capital to two labor and two capital, there is a 100% change in the scale of production or in both the inputs, labor and capital, and the change in output from 10 to 20 is also 100%. Similarly, when we are moving from 2 labor 2 capital to 3 labor 3 capital, your output will increase, and if that increase is also 50%, your output is 30. It is the example of constant returns to scale. The constant returns to scale are attributed to the limits of the economies of scale. With the expansion in the scale of production, economies arise from such factors as indivisibilities of fixed factor greater possibility of specialization of capital and labor, and use of more efficient techniques of production. But there is a limit to the economies of scale. When economies of scale reach their limits and diseconomies are yet to begin, returns to scale become constant. The constant returns to scale take place also where factors of production are perfectly divisible and where technology is such that capital labor ratio is fixed. When the factors of production are perfectly divisible, the production function is homogeneous of degree 1, showing constant returns to scale. If the proportionate change in the output is less than the proportionate change in the inputs, it is known as diminishing returns to scale. So when we are moving from one labor, one capital, where the output is 10, to a new isoquant where your output is 18 and your inputs are 2 labor, 2 capital. So change in inputs is 100%, whereas change in output is 80%, which is less than the proportionate change in the inputs. Similarly, when you are moving from 2 labor, 2 capital to 3 labor, 3 capital, there is a change of 50%. But if your output is changing less than 50%, that is the example of diminishing returns to scale. The decreasing returns to scale are attributed to the diseconomies of scale. The economists find that the most important factor causing diminishing returns to scale is the diminishing return to management, that is, managerial diseconomies. As the size of the firm expands, managerial efficiency decreases. Another factor responsible for diminishing returns to scale is the limitedness or exhaustibility of the natural resources. For example, doubling of coal mining plant may not double the coal output because of limitedness of coal deposits or difficult accessibility to coal deposits. Similarly, doubling the fishing fleet may not double the fish output because availability of fish may decrease in the ocean when fishing is carried out on an increased scale. Now let us understand the laws of returns to scale through a production function. As we know that production function is given as Q as a function of labor and capital. So if all inputs are increased by a certain proportion, say K, then the production may increase in some proportion, say H. Then the production function may be expressed as HQ will be the function of K L comma Kk, where H is the proportionate change in the output, whereas K is the proportionate change in the inputs. So if H is greater than K, it reveals increasing returns to scale. If H is equal to K, it reveals constant returns to scale. And if H is less than K, it reveals diminishing returns to scale. The most popular type of production function is the Cobb-Douglas production function, which is given in the form of a power function and which is represented as Q or quantity equal to A L to the power A K to the power B, where capital A is a positive constant and A and B are positive fractions and are the output elasticities of labor and capital. So when A plus B is equal to 1, it is constant returns to scale. When A plus B is greater than 1, it is increasing returns to scale. And when A plus B is less than 1, it is diminishing returns to scale. It means if you put the value of labor and capital as 1, and if the power of labor and capital, the sum total is equal to 1, you will find the output is changing in the same proportion to that of the change in inputs. If A plus B is greater than 1, you will find the output is increasing in more than that proportion of the change in inputs, and if a plus b is less than 1, the output will increase in less than that proportion of the change in inputs. The another popular production function is given by Leontief. A Leontief production function is one in which vector proportions are fixed. For example, where one farmer always works with one tractor or one carpenter requires a toolbox with 30 tools. Providing any more farmers than there are tractors for would lead not to diminishing returns but to vanishing returns. The farmer without a tractor will produce nothing. So this kind of production function is given as x will be equal to minimum of 2 labor, comma 5 of capital. A Leontief production function is one in which factor proportions are fixed. It means that to produce 1 unit of x, you need a minimum of half unit of labor and 1/5 unit of capital, and that adding any more labor or capital will not get you any more output. For example, with labor as 10 and capital as 2, your output will be minimum of 20 and 10, which is 10 units. Similarly, when labor is 5, capital is 2, again your output is minimum of 10 and 10, that is 10 units of x. So the logical capital labor ratio in the x industry to choose will be kx divided by lx, which will be equal to 2 by 5, which will be equal to 0.4. So can you now calculate how much labor and capital would you use to produce 100 units of x and 300 units of x? So this you can calculate and can find out the answer according to the Leontief production function. In this video, you have understood the long-term laws of production, which are popularly known as returns to scale, using isoquant techniques and using the production function. Let us now check what we have learned in this video with the help of some multiple choice questions. And the question number 1 is, in the long run, the firm can increase its production by A. Increasing labor only, B. Increasing capital only, C. Increasing both labor and capital, D. None of the above. And the right answer is C. Increasing both labor and capital. Blank is a locus of points representing various combination of two inputs, say labor and capital, yielding the same output. A. Indifference curve, B. Isoquant, C. Demand curve, D. Utility curve. And the right answer is B. Isoquant. Which of the following are the causes for increasing returns to scale? A. Technical and managerial indivisibilities, B. Higher degree of specialization, C. Dimensional relations, D. All of the above. And the right answer is D. All of the above. Cobb-Douglas production function is given in the form of option A, Q equal to capital A, L to the power small a, K to the power small b. Option B, X equal to minimum of 2Lx 5Kx. Option C, Q equal to Bx. Option D, Q equal to A plus Bx. And the right answer is A, Q equal to capital A, L to the power small a, K to the power small b. Thank you for watching this video.